What is going on, everybody? Nitro Freak here. Well, not anymore, but yeah, Follow Can Eagle podcast here, along with Scotty, my co-host. Um, yeah, what an amazing ending to that Falcons game. You know, not
Did
what
I
it, yeah, not
did
what
I
it
go
gave.
viral? Did I go viral after that game?
Yeah, I mean, everything that was said in that post-game video, you just nailed it. I think I watched it about 3 or 4 times. Absolutely phenomenal work by you. Probably a good idea. I wasn't talking anyway because I was just zoning the fuck out because I didn't even know what the hell just happened. It was weird as hell. Um, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Now, Scotty has a different opinion than I do on this, but I'm just gonna get right into this. Was it a bad loss? Yeah, I thought it was an awful loss. But, and it's a pretty big but, these are the type of losses that honestly makes a team better, in my honest opinion. Now, hear me out on this. It was early on in the season. We clearly had some holes. Have, not had. We clearly have some holes. The coaching hasn't been great. The quarterback play hasn't been great. Saquon Barkley dropped a pass that probably should have won us the game. It is what it is. You know, let's see if they could fix these holes, go into New Orleans, take care of business, and then start fresh. You know, that game on Monday night was such a fluky loss, in my opinion. I don't think you're going to see many losses from here on out. Now, I could be wrong, but the Atlanta Falcons, and particularly Kirk Cousins, who never wins in primetime, it's just one of those games where we just let it sneak by. I think I saw the bet. I saw the betting line when it was 3rd and 4 before Saquon dropped that pass. We were like a minus 5,000 to win that game on the money line, which means we clearly should have won the game because they're risking 5,000 to win $100. You know, and I don't know. A lot of people are down on this team right now. I'm not. I'm really not, because the holes that need to be fixed, in my opinion, aren't as big as people think. You know, AJ Brown, if he plays that game, they win. You know, there's a history of Jalen Hurts playing without AJ Brown. He doesn't do as well as he possibly should. So that's big. It's actually big that our bye week comes early this year. You know, because if you wanted to hold AJ Brown out into the bye week, I think we could win one of these next 2 games. Maybe I would love to win both, but I would settle for a split at this point with him being out. I would. Either Tampa Bay or New Orleans. Pick one, you know. I just think that this team as a unit, very cohesive. I think they're going to play together as one down the road. This loss will make them better. It's early in the season. The Super Bowl season in 2017, we started 1-1. I just feel that a lot of people are getting on these players, and particularly coach, when, again, they didn't play in the preseason. They didn't have a rhythm. They just got back from Brazil. It's tough to travel from Brazil back to home. I know they had 11 days off. I understand that. But they're doing a lot of traveling. They're going to countries they shouldn't be going to. I'm just not as down on this team as everyone else is. I think it's still a pretty damn good football team, especially with A.J. Brown coming back. Say what you want about Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff, you could say it was a disaster signing, but I'm going to say one more point, then I'll let my co-host talk. Bryce Huff was a rotational piece with the New York Jets. We're using him as a full-time defensive lineman on this defense that's not getting any pressure right now. In my honest opinion, you need to make him rotational. He's conserving his energy, which makes him a less player than what we signed him for. And I just think they need to find a way to possibly get Hassan Reddick back on this team. I really do, because you could use this opportunity to say to Joe Douglas, hey, listen, he doesn't want to play for you. I'll take him back. I'll pay him. I'll give you a pick or whatever. And that's all she wrote. And then we're back to what we were. So I'm not glad, but losing this game in that fashion this early on in the season, I think it's going to be huge for this team down the road. What are your thoughts?
First off, sorry guys, my voice is shot. Obviously, I bit the bullet for that post-game video. Just what you said at the end about Bryce Huff. I mean, he was signed here not to be a rotational piece. Let's just be honest. I
Mhm.
also found out that PFF or one of those people, they had him ranked right behind Miles Garrett and Nick Bosa for like pressures last year or like speed to get a pressure. So like that's pretty impressive. I don't know. I mean, clearly we're not seeing that right now. So I do disagree. Like we can't make him a rotational piece again. Like who's going to be the starter then? Brandon Graham and I don't know who else.
Yeah.
But just going back to, overall thoughts about the game, I do like your positivity now and trying to bring everyone up because the city and the fan base is on fire, rightfully so. And once we, check ourselves back into reality, it was just one game, but I'm still not ready to go to that point. Maybe by Friday, tomorrow, who knows? I'll be there right with you. And
Mhm.
again, I appreciate the optimism. Um, I didn't really we didn't get to give our full breakdown in that video just because emotions were so high, especially me. But for me, it is on the quarterback overall. We were both at that game. We watched it start to finish.
Mhm.
I did rewatch the most of the highlights and key plays. NFL always uploading great highlights on YouTube. And I like how they actually, it's like a 15 to 25-minute highlight. So it's like a full game recap. It's not what we grew up with on ESPN, just showing touchdowns and plays like that. So that's good for us if we were there. Anyways, when I did watch it back, I definitely get what people are saying about the defense. They did not tackle well or play well. But again, they held that team they held them to field goals. And like we said, offenses are going to score in this league. To hold them to what, 9 points through into the third quarter, right? I
Yep.
believe so.
Mhm.
I don't know how you don't say that is at least an average defense. I was saying good. Now I would probably give them like a B, C minus because I don't think we lost the game because of them. Now, if you listen to anyone in the city, national media, they're all talking about the Saquon drop, no pass rush with the defense. The Saquon drop, it is what it is. It didn't lose us the game because there was more game left to be played. So
Mhm.
why are we obsessing about a drive? Yes, it could have won the game, but it's not like there was 0 seconds left and you needed that to win.
Yeah.
And that's what the perception is. At least that's what I'm getting from everything I'm hearing. Um, Again, you had the time at the end of the game, like I screamed in the video, to win. Hurts, made just a horrible decision, unexplainable, trying to be Superman or force something which he did not need to do. The only other thing that you could really pin this game on besides Hurts, which again, quarterback stats. Quarterbacks are the only player where they have a win-loss record, and that's for a reason. And for me, you threw the game-ending interception, so that clearly equals a loss. And also, there was 3 seconds left, however many seconds were on the clock. Like that was the last play to win the game, not Saquon, not the defense. Time was not expiring. That is when time expired. So that is when the game becomes a loss. That's why we lost. It's drilled into our heads. It's a game of inches. It can come down to one play, even though the bullshit, multiple plays, we don't lose because of one play. But ultimately, you do, especially in a close game. Now, if you lose by 10 or it's a blowout, yeah, there's a lot of plays why we lost. But it was a 1 point loss that literally came down to one play. It doesn't get any closer than that. So that's how I feel. Only other real legitimate reason for me why we lost, not who didn't play well, huge difference, would be because of the coach Sirianni and the confusion of having control of the team. I feel like I didn't even realize, I don't know if you did, Kyle, just being in the momentum and heat of the moment in the stadium where we should have ran the ball twice or at least not thrown to Saquon to keep the clock running. And honestly, I've heard people say, don't even kick the field goal because you're giving Kirk Cousins the ball on the 3-yard line. with it's going to be even less time that they had. And then they wouldn't even have went for a touchdown. They would have went for a field goal to tie the game and go into overtime. Now, hindsight's 2020 with that. Of course, we saw them go down the field and score a touchdown because they needed a touchdown. So those are hypotheticals. But again, with Sirianni not being in charge of the offense, not calling the plays, he should be a master of that. That's all you should be thinking about the entire weekend leading up to the game. You had an extra day to think about it. You know, who is in his ear? You know, you have that coach that's the game management, clock management assistant. Where the hell is he? Are you listening to him? Is your ego so big that you know best and you're always right and whatever decision I make is the right decision and it's going to work? So it really, and again, who else gets a win-loss record? The coach. Okay? And that has been there since the beginning of time, and it's there for a reason, because ultimately head coaching decisions and quarterback play equals wins and losses. The other parts of the game, like it or not, are secondary and parts of the game. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. And the thing is, a lot of people are blaming the head coach. And honestly, I might get a lot of heat for this. I actually like Nick Sirianni. I'm not going to lie to you. I do. And to be completely honest with you, I think that every play call that he made was the right one.
So like you agree with the pass to Saquon?
Oh yeah, because he was wide open. If he catches that ball, it's game over. Like, do your job. And these players don't get enough.
Do you risk what happened? The drop?
No, not only no, because he was wide open. If he's not wide open, you run it. You know, he was literally wide open. You know, and the thing is, I actually liked how he declined the penalty when they jumped because he got an extra down. And that's something a good coach does. You know, there was 3rd and 1. They had Jalen Hurts back there. I don't know if you remember this, but Jalen Hurts was back there. It was 3rd and 1. They jumped to give us a first down, and we declined it because we had that much faith in what we were doing. You know,
yeah, we were running the ball. That's how we got down there. And then they stopped running, and they made the decision to throw.
Yeah, correct. And the thing was, if he wasn't so wide open, I believe in my heart of hearts that Jalen Hurts would have ran for the first down. You know, either way, we were going to get the first down there, but Saquon was wide open. You know, and the thing is I love Saquon Barkley. I talked him up the whole offseason, so I'm going to give him some criticism. That is his 12th dropped pass in his NFL career. And that cannot be a common thing. I know he was on a shitty team in the Giants, so he's trying to run before he has the ball because he was so scared playing for the New York Giants. But you're on a good team now. You don't have to be scared anymore. You're going to be put in a good position. You're going to be able to do what you're supposed to do. Coming out of the draft, as a second pick overall, the great player that you're supposed to be, you're going to be great on this team. Don't run without the ball. And that needs to be a thing that he needs to shoe up going down in the season. I honestly believe this team, from what I saw, like I thought it was kind of a sloppy game personally. Like Atlanta was kind of always in it. Now, granted, Kirk Cousins was doing his thing at the end of the game, but it took till the end of the game for him to do that. Bijan Robinson didn't score a touchdown. You know, the defense did their job.
He's a great – we both love Bijan. Like, you know, people shitting all over the defense. Well, you are playing, if not a top 5, a future star in this league. Like, he is that good. So,
and
it's not like you're losing. It's not like it's, I don't even know, fucking no-name whatever back there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he didn't score a touchdown. They had Drake London. Kyle Pitts is better now with Kirk Cousins. They had weapons. It's not like the Atlanta Falcons are trashed like I called them last week. You know, they actually proved me wrong on that. You know,
did we underestimate them because of the way they lost to Pittsburgh, or were we just
we were a little
confident beating the Packers?
Yeah, we were a little cocky, especially me. But
I think we beat a good Packers team, so we had like that.
But it's weird because I was cocky the whole week last week, but I'm watching that game in the stands, even with 30 seconds left. I never felt a loss. Like, even when we lost the game, I'm like, wow, we really lost. Like,
Yeah, it was
I never
shocking.
felt a loss the whole game.
It was very shocking. It was the air coming out of the stadium. And again, like it was our home opener Monday night. We beat Kirk Cousins the past 2 years on prime time in week 2. Why would we think any differently? And like that is, I mean, it's kind of out of character for us. I mean, there's no reason we should have lost, especially at home.
Mhm.
Like again, I know you are ready to move on. I don't know. You're kind of talking me into it a little bit. Obviously, I'm an optimist. I love the Eagles. This is football season. But the biggest thing that scares me again is I go back to the reason we lost the game. Everyone wants to protect Hurts. I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan. I think he had MVP like runs and plays in that game, but it only matters if you win or lose, and you had the chance to win and you lost.
Mhm.
I don't know where the disconnect is or the just being in denial. Like Kyle, what I know it's a sensitive topic for you for
Yeah.
some, but like just be your authentic self. And why is this fan base focusing on everything else for the loss besides the quarterback?
Well, because we're in a weird era. We're in the era of division. We're in the era of fanboys. You could say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, I can understand if this was Jalen Hurts' first game where he went for the home run when he didn't need to. But this is his fourth time now. He did it against Arizona. He did it against Seattle against Drew Lock. He did it against the Jets. And now he did it against the Falcons. Hero ball only brings you so far
And it
until
hasn't worked.
and it hasn't worked.
And
And
let's
that's the thing.
also
Like
don't
he
forget
was,
2021 against the Giants, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Throwing it to Jalen Rager, dropping it obviously because he's a bum. But you have to look.
Even though
You
they needed a touchdown to win that game, but
No, and I understand that, but like the thing is, you have to look at film like Tom Brady. You have to look at film like Peyton Manning. You have to play the quarterback position like it's intended to play in the big moments. Like in the big moments, you have to throw to the sticks. We had 23 seconds left and a timeout. We had 15 yards to go to get Jake Elliott with that big ass leg in field goal range. If he misses the kick, he misses the kick. It is what it is. At least you were in position to do that. And that's why
yeah,
me
every
talking
team
about
does it.
Jalen Hurts,
Every
especially in this
team.
offseason, I do think he can win football games, but he needs to get smarter IQ wise. You need to look at the grand scheme of things.
Football again, football IQ.
Yeah, it might be the boring thing to do, but throwing for 5 yards is a
It's the
safe
smart.
play
It's
in
the
that
smart
situation.
the smart thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, going for a bomb there, like you didn't need it. Like, did he think we needed a touchdown and not a field goal? Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, and it's every team does it every week. The defense plays prevent. Now, I think I definitely underestimated Atlanta's secondary. They're no slouch back there,
Mhm.
and they're
Mhm.
paying Jesse Bates obviously, and their corners a lot of money. So that was on me for underestimating them. But again, teams do this every week. I think honestly, go back to your childhood playing Madden. You're playing your friend. It's a close game. You want to send it to overtime or win. You know, so many of those games I played, you end in a field goal, and it's just day one football learning in the classroom on the field. Brent says if we had AJ, it would have had a blowout.
How
Yes,
about a
we
blowout?
would have played. The offense would have been better. But again, this goes back to two things. Number one, we've heard about 2022 Jalen. What is he? What are your expectations? Because I've heard people still say that he can get back to that. And now I'm hearing, well, we know he's not a top 5, top 10 quarterback. Well, which one is it? Like, are you relying on him to win the game like he did in 2022? So it's people are wishy-washy with and again, stop. If he's your starting quarterback, 250 million, he's a star. He should be a top 10 quarterback. He should win the game. And what he had to do, just gonna say it wasn't rocket science. It didn't take a Patrick Mahomes to get 10, 15 more yards into field goal range. We're not asking you to be an MVP in that moment. We're not asking you to be top 5. We're asking you to be an NFL starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, with the AJ comment, agree. I don't know about a blowout. I mean, honestly, that's what we predicted. So maybe. Okay, well, your best, again, I've always said he's our best player. He is out. But we've heard, and again, this is from Eagles fans, not just from the media and hype, that we have all these weapons. Well, one goes down, then what do we have? None? And you have Saquon. But if I'm Saquon, especially when he dropped that ball, I feel like I have the team on my back. I feel like I'm the person that's supposed to be the entire offense, obviously, of Devontae Smith. But with Britt Covey being a huge target, and Saquon's probably thinking like, I don't want this game to be in Britt Covey's hands. Mm-hmm. So that's more pressure on him. So again, what happened to, oh my God, no one can stop this offense. There's so many weapons. Yes, the biggest one goes down, but should that change everything? No. I mean, it shouldn't if that is the expectation. And people are adjusting their expectations now. Yeah, it's week 2. You're allowed, but I don't know. Just give your opinion. I feel like we always, we hype things up. We're excited. That's fine. But don't say, oh, well, I saw someone else comment, we're a low ceiling, high floor, or the opposite. Like, what do you mean? We were projected to be one of the best teams. Me and Kyle both picked them to win 13 games. Yeah, he said, we're one of those low floor, high ceilings. Which I agree. I don't even know what that means.
Well, all right. So
we're supposed to be one of the best teams.
Here's the thing: we're already better than last year because last year we were getting our asses kicked by the New York Giants, who can't even win a football game.
I mean, but this time last year we were 2-0.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I don't give a fuck about the record as long as we win the division and get in the playoffs. I don't care because only one seed gets the bye. That's it. And do I think we're going to get the bye? Math tells me no. So at the end of the day, you just need to play the games the way it's going to get it. Yeah, and you just need to play them right. And the thing about Jalen Hurts that you brought up, I'm looking back at that 2022 season. He was magnificent. But do you remember a game where he actually won the game by himself in a big moment? Because I don't. All those games were blowouts. And it's the close games.
Yeah, but he played. I remember the Pittsburgh game. There's the Titans game. Yeah. Like he played like an MVP, so you could say that's why we won.
No, but he played well. But you need your quarterback to be clutch, and I don't think he has that clutch gene. Whenever there's a big moment, he turns into Carson Wentz. I can't believe I'm talking
about that far. I think Dallas that year when they won on Sunday night, I think he ran for a couple first downs to win the game. So that's clutch. Mm-hmm. Again, it's just don't make the boneheaded. We're not asking you to be. This isn't the Super Bowl yet. It's not Patrick. You're not have to be Patrick Mahomes. Just be a serviceable quarterback, get in the field goal range, and give your kicker that chance.
I think the worst part of all this is they lost that way on Nick Foles night. If you put Nick Foles back there, that's a win. We both know that because he's good in that moment. He might not look great that night, but in that moment, he would have won the game for us because all you have to do is throw it 10 yards. He throws the simple plays, and that's it. I don't want any of this flashy bullshit. I'm sick of it. I like Jalen Hurts. I've said it for weeks. I want him to play quarterback. I don't want him to play superhero in those situations.
Why do you think he does that? Do you think he's trying to prove something to someone and it's not good enough for him just to play quarterback
No, I think what it is, he has too much ability to keep it simple. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree.
And the problem is when you have a lot of talent, you like to overdo things. And unfortunately, I just don't think someone like Jalen Hurts can do the simple thing. I don't. And that's the problem I'm having with it because he is flashy. He's very athletic. He squats 600 pounds. He can run. He got his wheels back. He rushed for 85 yards the other night. He got his wheels back. And I think he wants to prove to people that he could throw the long ball. And unfortunately, when you get too much in your head, stuff like that happens. And I hope he fixes it up, or else it's going to be trouble for him throughout his career.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think that's the biggest concern more than Saquon. Again, we wouldn't even have probably been in that game if it wasn't for Saquon. Again, Hurts played well. But last thing I'll say, and then I know we want to move on to the Saints, which will still be hard for me to move on from this. It's like, I'm tired of people saying that players, especially the quarterback, had a good game when you lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it rings true again for the quarterback. They get the win-loss record. No, a quarterback does not have a good game if they lost the game, especially if, all right, say again, people say the defense played so shitty, they didn't give up that many points. If it's like a total shootout for 51-49, okay. And then, the quarterback doesn't throw a pick and maybe the defense gives up that last touchdown, the quarterback doesn't get the ball back. Okay, he had a good game and they lost. Mm-hmm. No, the quarterback had the ball to win, set up the field goal, and he was the one that lost with the ball. They had possession. So I'm done with people saying the quarterback had a good game when the ball was in your hands to win the game, but you didn't fucking win it. It defies logic. It really pisses me off.
And to piggyback off that, it happened in the worst of ways, but this could have been a key moment in Jalen Hurts' career where he took the ball and he won the game for us.
Exactly.
Early on in the season, too, to get some confidence going down the road. And again, he looked like a duck in a really big moment, and hopefully we don't have many of those moments going down the road, because I don't think we're going to win the games now. But, there will be a moment down the road, especially if you want to win the Super Bowl, where you're probably going to have to win the game when the game's tied or you're down.
Exactly. You're going to be in this. This is how you win.
Yep.
We've seen those Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen games. That's what they come down to, who has the ball last. And the last thing, what we talked about on the phone earlier was like how you said it would have been a defining moment. Yeah, if people would be saying we won because of Hurts if Jake Elliott kicks the field goal and he puts them in position. So if he's why we won, why would he not be why we lost when he threw the interception? And we're just going to call it spade a spade. If that was Donovan McNabb, if that was Carson Wentz, if that was Nick Foles, if that was Michael Vick, we would be saying that's why we lost.
Yep.
But it's a double standard, and you need to stop it, because maybe Hurts, I don't know. I think I love him. I think he's a great player. He's my quarterback, but he needs to know and feel like, no, I need to change. I need to switch this shit up. Like, that is the reason. So I don't know if that perception will help or hurt him. I mean, last year you could tell he was pretty sensitive with his head down. So I don't know the best for his psyche, but fuck it. You need to improve upon the turnovers. Also, the turnover battle, like, again, this is like preschool football fucking IQ knowledge. If you turn the ball over, you lose.
Yep.
If you win the turnover battle, you win. Like, I don't know why we're ignoring that, and I'm not going to stop. So,
I mean, we're ignoring it because Jalen Hurts can't be touched. It just is what it is. But at the end of the day, we're 1-1. We got to move on to the Falcons. Brent brought up a hot topic that I talked to this about like half hour ago. He said, I honestly think it's rigged. Since sports betting is legal, because everyone bet the Eagles, about 90% of the handle was on the Eagles' money line, which if the Eagles would have won, Vegas would have had to pay out millions. Not just Vegas, like every sports book in America would have had to pay out a ton of money. So it's always going to be a conspiracy when people bring this up. I think it's a little less of a conspiracy and more of reality, in my personal opinion, based off of my experience with it and the losses I've seen, like in every sport, not just football. But especially in a primetime game where everyone bets it, you have a case, especially with how it wound down, with Saquon dropping the ball, Kirk Cousins going down the field when he didn't go down the field the entire game, Jalen Hurts throwing it to double coverage when he didn't have to. You have a major point, and the point spread was 5.5. They were winning by 6. So you have a point. At the end of the day, even if we are right, like me and you, Brett, it'll never get disclosed because sports betting is $1 billion business. Now, are we watching these games with it not knowing that it's actually rigged and it actually is? That's a problem. It's a big problem because you're in essence watching WWE, and that's not what people want to do. So yeah, it's a hot topic. I mean,
All
it's
right.
not
I mean,
that.
I'm not gonna touch it that much. Of course, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Now, I have gone down those rabbit holes of different YouTube videos and such. But Kyle, how would it physically be rigged? Like that's the only thing. Like, all right, you're making that like opinion or possibility, but like the facts and the physicality, like how would that? The only thing I could think of, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, would be the refs. Like, there's no way this is choreographed. Is that what you're saying? All the players are choreographed and know how to move their body and like how would that be rigged?
Because I think these players are the best at what they do. And I think the route running wasn't that hard to pull off. They really did want to rig it, especially in the 2 minute drill. Because the 2 minute drill, if anyone played football, is one of the toughest drills to defend because it's fast paced. You're running slants, you're running outs. It's tough to defend. And the way that it looked, I think it was 35 seconds. They went 75 yards or something like that. The way that it just looked really fishy to me, and people could have a point. They could have a case on it. But at the end of the day, we don't know if it's a fact. It always looks shady
I don't
enough.
think people are, especially to be smart enough for that. Like it's just, I mean, I don't believe that at all.
Like Slay, like Slay got burnt. Like he was playing a good game the whole game. Quinyon Mitchell played a good game the whole game. He did have some bad plays, but Slay got burnt. And I've never seen Slay get that burnt in my life. I've never seen it. So, I mean, listen, we could have a case, but it's never going to be unfolded if it is the case. So it's just
Yeah, and
something.
ultimately, it's not reality, so it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so.
It is what it is at the end of the day. So we're gonna move on to the Saints. But yeah, Brent, I think the same way you do sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Moving on to the Saints, I'm gonna let you go first with this one.
Of course, I'm not ready to move on to week 3, but we have to. The Saints. Now, I did pick this game actually as a loss before we even knew anything about these teams or how well the Saints have been playing. Of course, they just blew out Dallas in the weekend of upsets. They made Dak Prescott look terrible after becoming the highest paid player in the league. They shredded Micah Parsons, and that, high praise Dallas defense, top 5. And then the week before, they blew out the Panthers, who are now changing their starting quarterback. That's how bad they beat the brakes off of them, giving up on their first round pick of just last year. So I'm definitely worried, but I feel like it's not even the Saints. Obviously, playing there is harder than if it was at home, but I don't even know if it mattered who we were playing, besides if we were playing like the 49ers or the Chiefs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think I am worried about the Hurts turnovers. I'm worried about how we're going to respond just in general to playing this game. And then, it is a concern with Alvin Kamara against this run defense, 100%, especially on a turf field. We saw them play the Packers on that Brazil field, which was terrible. So maybe they have some experience with that already. Maybe that'll come in handy for whatever.
It's like playing on gold. At this point, it's like playing on gold.
Yeah, no, literally. So, my early prediction, the Saints are favored by 3 now. So, I mean, I'm really torn. I could see it going either way. It would be very Eagles-like for them to come out and play a good game and kind of win by like at least a touchdown. But I just don't really see that happening because, again, we never win in New Orleans. We fact-checked this. We haven't won there since 2007. Mm-hmm. And that offense is on fire right now. I don't think we're going to win this game. I think it'll be like the Atlanta game. They might lose by 3. And like you said, they need to show us something before I get my confidence all the way back up and just think that we're going to roll through everybody. I think that they lose this week again, and I think they could get back on track next week against Tampa. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can be. I know you're trying to be optimistic and just push through, and you're ready to keep going, but I just don't have the confidence to be like, this is a team that can win the Super Bowl at least. I mean, I don't. I am going to pick the Saints to win. I would probably think it'd be a higher scoring game. I would probably say like 30-27, but I'm not confident. I need them to show me a lot to be confident again. And I miss AJ Brown. You know how much I love him. I value him. He's our best player by far, even better than Saquon. I said it. And until we get him back, I don't know if I'm going to be as confident. I mean, until he's back.
Okay. So you have this as a loss, right?
I do. I'm going to stick with my preseason prediction as this as a loss, and I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, they lose, it's obviously going to be world on fire times 10 from what it is this week. But it's not a good scenario having to play in New Orleans on a short week after this.
All right, so you're probably going to laugh at me, but I think this is actually a really bad matchup for the Saints. Now, hear me out on this one. Dennis Allen's not a good head coach. Derek Carr is a mediocre quarterback. Alvin Kamara is playing like an MVP. Understandable. All you have to do in this game, and it's really simple, all you have to do in this game is load the box, spy on Kamara the whole game, make Derek Carr throw to our cornerbacks. They have Olave and they have Shaheed. Olave's good. Shaheed, I'm still on the fence about him. All right, he's starting off the season really great, but you have to look at the two teams they just played. They played Carolina. Horrible fucking football team. Terrible. They just benched Bryce Young, their first overall pick, not even a year and a half into his career. Then they played the Dallas Cowboys at home. Mike McCarthy is a loser. All right. The Dallas Cowboys defense got chewed up and spit out by Alvin Kamara. You think he's going to do that 3 times in a row, Alvin Kamara? Because I don't. I think that NFL coaches are smarter than to let this guy get all these points in the world 3 weeks in a row. I think that the Eagles are going to win this game. I think the Eagles are going to make a statement, and I think the Eagles are back. Just my honest opinion, I think it's a really bad matchup for the Saints this week, especially facing a pissed-off Eagles team. And I think the Eagles go 2-1 to start the season.
Like I said, I hope you're right. I would agree. I can't imagine Derek Carr being this late in his career an MVP candidate out of nowhere. But again, there's always that surprise team that gets off to a hot start. Their division isn't very good. We just saw Atlanta and how the defense, as bad as everyone's saying they are, which again, they didn't play well. Like, I think New Orleans would blow out Atlanta at this point in time. I don't know. Again, I think Atlanta was ready to pack it. Sorry, go ahead.
And the line being 3, that's an Eagles line. You have to think about it. I mean, the Saints have been blowing teams out, not just winning. They blew out the first two opponents, and they're home for their home opener. They're only a 3-point favorite after the Eagles lost the way they just did. Like, I'm going to go back to the conspiracy theories.
We're more talented than them. But if we would have won, we would have been like a 2-point favorite at New Orleans. We
were actually a 2.5-point favorite earlier on in the preseason because they had lines out before the season started. So it switched a little bit. But Vegas really does think we're the favorite here based off the lines they put out in the preseason. So honestly, I have this as a win. I know it sounds crazy after what we just watched, but I have this as a win. I really do.
No, I don't think you're crazy because I do know how talented this team is. Mm-hmm. But it's just like I'm not going to get over that debacle from Monday night and just such a head scratching decisions, plays against a not I'm sorry, Atlanta is an average team. We were clearly the better team on the field, more talented, more heart, more aggressive, and we gave the game away. And I just don't think a good team doesn't do that. Like your home opener, you have everyone's praising you, loving you, the Saquon pick, Howie Roseman. Now everyone's questioning everything. Of course, this is typical week to week in the NFL. Like the sky is falling. People saying Howie, didn't bring in the right personnel now, and that these players aren't as talented, and they're leaving no stone unturned besides talking about the quarterback, of course. Like, which I still just don't. I need to find someone that thinks like us about why we lost, but no, I don't think you're stupid. I wouldn't be shocked if we win. And of course I want us to win. That would be great. But I still think that this was just such hopefully this turns into the Jets game from last year. That didn't really matter. And that, it's just one game. Of course, losing in the NFC, that was an AFC game. So this does mean a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I will give kudos and props to you if this is just a fluke. We needed to learn from these mistakes and get everything straightened out and get everyone on the same page. And also, it was announced on Sunday that AJ wasn't playing, and that was unexpected for the whole team. Again, I just hope that AJ is back because this team is just so much better and more exciting and just more possibilities with the offense when he's on the field. What's your prediction? What's your score prediction?
Before I say that, I just feel like it's one of the games like the Atlanta Falcons game. I think it's one of those games where we just lost. We played poorly at the end of the game. We just lost.
Yeah, but we didn't play that bad to lose.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like sometimes you play games where you lose games you're not supposed to. We were the better team that night and we lost. It's just that simple. And that's why I wasn't really heated after the game. I was like, yeah, it sucks that we lost. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, is this team Super Bowl worthy still? I thought about the positives more than I did the negatives because, number one, A.J. Brown didn't play. You're 100% right. He's our best player by far. He didn't play. We didn't execute correctly. Like we always say, Saquon Barkley doesn't drop that pass, we win. Jalen Hurts doesn't throw that ball into double coverage, we win. We had so many more opportunities to win that game than the Atlanta Falcons did to win that game. You know what I'm saying? And we just didn't put it together, So at the end of the day, yeah, it would be nice to be 2-0 going to New Orleans, but I'm not panicking because I think this team, if they put everything together at the right time, can win. I think they can be contenders. I truly do. And like Christian says, I have to agree with Kyle here because I feel like the Saints are playing a little bit over their heads right now. They totally are. They 100% are. Alvin Kamara is the reason why they're winning these games, literally. All you have to do is spy Kamara, just load the box, make him do something out of his ass, and that's what you have to do. And he's their best player right now by far. You honestly think that Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed are gonna beat this team? I don't think so. You just need to outsmart them. You gotta come to play. We're gonna have a lot of our fans there. I was supposed to go, but I canceled. So I'm not worried about the Saints. If we lose to the Saints, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, if we lose to the Saints, it's time to panic because I don't think the Saints are better than us. I truly don't. Even without
do you think the Saints are better than the Falcons?
After what I saw, no. I think the Falcons are better.
I would have to disagree. And it's not even about the talent. It's, how they're playing. What type of role are they on? What's the team chemistry and the energy? And, the Saints are riding high. Yeah. Are they exceeding their talent level and expectations?
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. But, let's see how long they can ride this out. I mean, is it going to end on the third game, the home opener? Or is it going to go longer until, something happens or they fall off or they get smacked?
Scotty,
I don't have confidence this week.
Scotty, the Saints are not contenders. They have one player and that's it. They're not contenders. You know, they're playing above their heads. I agree with Christian. You know, we should win this game, honestly, by 10 points, in my opinion.
We should have beat Atlanta by 10.
Of course, but Atlanta has a good secondary. They coached out of their ass, and they won the game. You know, we had 3 mistakes. We had 3 big mistakes without A.J. Brown, and we lost by 1 point. Like, I mean,
the thing is, just because of the record, there would have been more, even if we won, there would have been more people picking the Saints to win. No one picked the Falcons to win. That's my point. Like, even if we were riding high, I think it still would have been a 50-50 toss-up or closer, projections or line because of how well the Saints are playing.
Yeah. You want to know why nobody picked the Falcons to win? Because we're a better football team. We lost because of our stupidity.
Yeah, also, people thought Kirk Cousins was hurt. He played terrible against the Steelers at home. There was other reasons why.
We gift wrapped that game for them. Vegas made a lot of money. It is what it is. Move on to the Saints. That's it.
I hope you're right, man, because I don't know. That was just definitely a blind side for sure. But we're gonna move on. I know you who's to blame for the mistakes this season. I feel like we kind of already discussed that a little bit, especially because we're right on schedule with time. So let's move on to a little bit wrap up about the NFL. Just take a break from the Eagles for a tiny bit.
Yep.
A segment that we started last week of who's canceled from the NFL week 2. And I kind of want to do this a little bit differently than I did last week because there's a lot of storylines forming. 100%. Of course, we know about all the upsets, but I think a very unfortunate and noteworthy thing to talk about, and I'm going to say is canceled, unfortunately, is Tua Tagovailoa. Of course, he suffered another concussion on Thursday night against the Buffalo Bills, and he's now been placed on IR. And it's really a shame and unfortunate, but you have to go back. I believe it was around Halloween. It might have been Halloween night a few years ago when, he literally went into a state that really none of us can even imagine or know what feels like, that graphic scene with, his fingers being frozen and collapsing to the ground. So at this point, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I just don't see there's a way where at some point soon he does not retire, rightfully so after all these concussions. So it's kind of fucked up to say he's canceled for that. But yeah, I mean, so that's my number one thing. Number 2, kind of have to go with what was literally canceled, and that was Bryce Young of the Carolina Panthers. And we talked about the Panthers a lot last week. We kind of called it. I mean, the new head coach, owner, whoever made that decision, they pulled the trigger, and now Andy Dalton is the new starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, which is the best thing for them. I mean, how many more fans do you want to lose? How much more bad football can you watch? Obviously, giving up on a first-round pick, not even a season and a half into his career, is very groundbreaking and just insane. But again, there's been no explanation or hope for him that he's going to play any better. Of course, he doesn't have that much talent around him. But if you're Carolina, you don't want to freaking go on, not win a game. So for better or for worse, Bryce Young has been canceled. And then number 3, I'm not going to cancel the Eagles. I'm not going to cancel anyone on the Eagles. I don't know if you thought I was going to go there, anyone.
Nah, not at all.
It's going to have to be the Dallas Cowboys because they are just they just signed, again, CeeDee Lamb, beast, a receiver. But we're focusing in here on the quarterback who you just gave a big fucking contract extension to, not to mention the highest paid player now in league history. Ever. And you're getting, if not even the same results, worse results, because I don't think they're going to go 12-5 this year like they've done the past 3 years. And it's like, how deflated are you that we just made this decision? We had a decision to make. We made it, And the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Like, he will never win when it counts in the playoffs. And you just paid him the most ever. And his first, I mean, they did beat the Browns. I think he signed the contract like a couple hours or 24 hours before.
It looks good against them.
And this is what they give you at home opener. Like, that's pathetic, because what the hell is going to change? Absolutely nothing. And now you are stuck with that same result for, I don't even know, was it 5 years? I mean, if it was the most ever, I mean, it was
4. Yeah, he's getting 60 a year.
But what's the length of the contract? The extension?
4 years.
Good luck. So yeah, I'm canceling. And you could say canceling Dak, but no, the quarterback, he leads the team. He is the face of the team. So yeah, I'm canceling the Dallas Cowboys. You sealed your fate for another 4 years. I don't think anyone's trading for that contract.
So
definitely can't cut that contract with that cap hit. So yeah.
So I'm going to add on to this cancellation thing, because I think something needs to be addressed, and I think it's quite obvious who's going to be canceled, but I mean, they just never fail to amuse everybody. The New York Giants. The New York Giants, they had every opportunity to win that football game. They lost the game by giving up 7 field goals. Not even a touchdown. 7 field goals. How is that fucking possible? And then they have the audacity, the fans have the audacity to laugh at Saquon Barkley for dropping a pass. Worry about your own fucking franchise. You lost by 7 field. You didn't lose by 7 field goals. You gave up 7 field goals to lose that game. You guys are losers. Absolute pathetic losers. I don't think you're going to win 2 games this year.
To the only team that they can beat.
Exactly. Like Jaden Daniels looked not great. He got him in the red zone 12 out of 17 times, as someone on Twitter brought up to me. And I was like, you just proved my point that Jaden Daniels isn't that good of a quarterback, because if you get to the red zone 17 times, 12 out of 17 times, and you don't score a touchdown, you're not that good of a quarterback. So at the end of the day, the Giants are just pathetic.
Yeah, and he couldn't even score a touchdown against the Giants defense.
Pathetic. Right? Like, I'm sorry. It's just like, if anyone needs to be canceled, it is the New York Giants, over and over and over and over and over again.
I was going to say, I think I canceled them last week, but yeah, they deserve a nomination for sure every week.
Awful. And the thing was, I thought it was kind of mean that you canceled Tua, honestly, because he's like brain dead at this point, unfortunately. But it's like, he's not going to walk away from that contract. There's just no way. At this point, he probably does have serious brain problems, which it sucks. At the end of the day, he's not going to walk away from that money. He's going to play again, and it's unfortunate.
Really?
Yeah. So
I mean, he's probably going to get another concussion. Like, I think at some point, enough is enough. No.
Yeah, but it's not up to us to say that. It's up to him and his family.
No, exactly. And it was kind of like tongue in cheek, but I hope he makes that responsible decision for sure.
And then TTC Savior says, forget about Dak's contract. The money that Daniel Jones is making me sick. The dude is pathetic. And the thing was, I watched him in that game. Daniel Jones, he didn't play horribly that game. He played a lot better than he did week 1. Of course, Neighbors drops that pass to, in essence, lose the game, and he played good that whole game. But how the hell do you not give up a touchdown and still lose by the kicker scoring 7 field goals? It never fails to amuse me how many times this team could just step all over themselves and make themselves look worse than they already are. It's hysterical to me. I think the fans are idiots, and I hope it never ends for them, because they deserve everything they get.
Last thing I want to say, because you brought up Dak's contract and Daniel Jones, I think it's becoming a problem that I have no problem people getting their money. And these players are lucky that they're born in this generation where they're making this much money. But again, we're paying starting quarterbacks the greatest of all time money. And I know it's the market, but I literally want to look up how much money Joe Montana, arguably the best quarterback ever made. Well, it's like you're giving these people these contracts that, like, how are they not, like, the fans and the owner, like, this is the guy. This should be an MVP candidate if he's getting the most money of all time, and he's not that good. So I know you want to get something in here. There's got to be a limit here. Something has to change where it's like, pay them for how good they are, not because they're the next to be paid and we need them so bad. There's nobody else. Like, I don't agree with making them the highest paid of all time when they're not even the best present day. I don't know.
Well, I'll give you an example of where the money was at, where it is now. Today's money is it's ridiculous. These contracts, I don't even know where they find the money, honestly. But I was just watching this movie called Jerry Maguire, and it was about this wide receiver that wanted to get paid because his family was broke, and they wouldn't give him the contract he wanted because he was small and blah, blah, blah. He made a really good play at the end of the game, almost got hurt, and he got a contract of 4 years, $11 million. And the guy started like tearing up and crying over that. That's how much the money has changed from then to now. You could say, oh, it's just a movie. No, that's where contracts really were back in the 90s. Now,
you want me to tell you Joe Montana's contract?
I'm going to look it up, actually. Hold on.
So I just got he signed a 4-year, $13 million contract, and his average salary was $3.25 million.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, 4 years, $13 million. So that's a little bit less than Rod Tidwell. Well, that's more than Rod Tidwell made, but Joe Montana's, he's proclaimed to be one of the best, if not the best quarterback ever.
That's I don't even know. That's like a head coaching contract now for a head coach. It is.
That's wild.
So of course times have changed, and of course, there's the NFL is so much more profitable, everything, most popular sport ever. But again, they have the money. So it's not like it's hurting the owners, the salary cap, whatever. But it's just like it's an illusion because they're not that good to be making millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. And I feel like, is it just going to continue this way? Is someone going to be making a $1 billion contract at some point? It's just, we can't even wrap our minds around it. And I just don't think, and also what's the incentive to get better if you're that much money, right?
There's none. I mean, you're looking after your family at that point. Unless it's a non-guaranteed contract, then you have to play to get paid. So it's like, yeah, that's the incentive, I guess. But if it's guaranteed,
there's always at least 70, 100, 120 million guaranteed.
That's why the contract that Deshaun Watson was the worst contract in sports history, because they guaranteed the entire thing.
We got Heels, Giants, Phillies, Nets. What's worse, Giants not re-signing Saquon or Dallas paying Dak the biggest contract ever?
Dak.
I would say Dak too, because they're the team that could actually do something. The Giants, it's from top to bottom, the whole vibe, the whole fucking franchise. Dallas has been good. Like, they just need someone to take them over to the next step or get rid of Jerry Jones, even though Jerry put the team together. The Cowboys are actually relevant. The Giants, doesn't matter what the hell they do. If they signed Saquon, they still would be 0-2 right now.
Yeah, they would. Easily. TTC Savior says, okay, think about Dak making $60 million. CJ Stroud would probably make 70 to 80 in a year. Well, a year when he gets paid. I mean, it's just there's no ceiling. I'm not against people getting paid, but like, these contracts are just absurd. Like, they're absurd. All they do is play a sport. Like, they literally play a sport, and they're getting paid like $250 million.
But at least CJ has a chance. We don't know what he is yet. The Texans could be in the AFC title game for Super Bowl for all we know. I don't have a problem paying the top people, the Josh Allen, the Patrick Mahomes, honestly, even Jalen Hurts, because he went to a Super Bowl. But the Kirk Cousins, the Dak Prescotts, the Daniel Jones, who have never sniffed a Super Bowl, and they're being paid the most of all time since the league started in fucking 1920. Like, I mean, good for them. Like, I wish I had that type of talent to not be the greatest of all time and get paid.
He hasn't even reached
no
title
one in
game.
the 19 with Joe Montana, no one thought that was ever possible to be paid that much money.
Nope.
Hell no.
No, and like Dak Prescott hasn't even reached the NFC title game, let alone a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Neither Daniel Jones even more, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he got closer, I guess, but whatever. I don't know.
All right, guys. Kyle is going to talk about his fantasy team, and then we're going to do our weekly picks for week 3 and recap week 2 to send us home with this show.
Okay, so both of my fantasy teams lost this week. So on ESPN, one of the most like perfect teams of all time. Now I'm completely depleted because on my ESPN team, I had Cooper Cup, Samuel, as it like takes forever to load because I don't know why it's like taking this long, but here we go. So on my IR right now, I have Cup, AJ Brown, Debo Samuel, Jordan Love, and those are 4 of my players that I usually play in this league. And now I'm starting McConkey, Worthy, Kelsey, who's absolutely washed, and Zach Moss in my flex position, which he could be decent, but who knows? And Baker Mayfield is my quarterback. So we'll see how that team goes, but I'm completely depleted there. In my sleeper team, I actually have projection to win, but the reason why I lost this league last week, and I could have been 2-0, is because Saquon Barkley dropped the pass. I would have won that game. It's a game of inches, and that sucked. So, yeah, I was kind of pissed when it came to that, but it is what it is. Fantasy this week, if I had to give some notes on it, I would say start Breece Hall for sure, guaranteed start against the Pats tomorrow. Start the Jets defense tomorrow against the Pats. That should be a fucking like cakewalk for them, honestly. Even though they never beat the Pats, but it should be a cakewalk. And yeah, I would start what the fuck's his name? That guy on the San Diego Chargers for sure, Quentin Johnson. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. Los Angeles Chargers. Quentin Johnson's going to be a stud. If you haven't picked him up, pick him up. He's going to be the number 1 target this week and probably for future weeks. So that's my sleeper.
I can't believe there's already football again tomorrow night. That's why we love football season. Now, Kyle, you may have went 0-2 with your 2 fantasy teams this week, but you had a really, really good week picking games last week. So good for you. You went 10-4 in week 2 of the ups. So that's very impressive.
Sweet.
I plummeted, one of my worst of all time picking games in my life. I went 6-9. It was freaking terrible. Our locks of the week, I did get my lock right. I picked the Chargers to win over the Panthers, pretty easy. And you, like a lot of other people, thought Indy would beat Green Bay, but Green Bay did pull that upset. And I picked Green Bay. I wish I would have bet some money on that. I'm sure I could have done very, very well if I put my money where my pick was. But yeah, you I don't know if you remember a lot of your picks, but I think your most impressive here, you called Minnesota over San Fran, Tampa over Detroit was really, really good. And then you also had Cleveland over Jacksonville when I thought, Cleveland was down and out after that awful performance from Deshaun.
Yeah, I thought the most surprising game was the Ravens losing to Oakland or Vegas. I honestly thought that, the Ravens are weird, especially after picking up Derrick Henry. You're supposed to get better, and they're just getting worse. It's weird.
Yeah, they're definitely in some weird funk for sure. That knocked a lot of people out of their survivor pools. I'm sure. Of course, we both picked Baltimore to win. Mm-hmm. And of course, we both picked the Eagles, so we were both wrong there. Kyle, 10-4 for week 2. I'm gonna add that up real quick. Kyle has. I'll do the overall records after while we're picking these games and give a little bit of an update. So we are moving on now to week 3. We've already given our Eagles predictions, so we can add that in. You did pick the Eagles to win against the Saints, and I am taking the Saints to win this week. And I usually do not pick against the Eagles that much, so for whatever that is worth to you guys. But moving on to week 3, I also think I actually haven't checked the power rankings. I would love to see where fucking people have the Eagles after that. Let me get this pulled up real quick. I guess we can just start with tomorrow night's game. Do you want to? You can start that off with Thursday Night Football.
All right, I'll start. Yeah, the Jets are a 6.5 point favorite at home against the Patriots. The Jets historically, recently at least, have their problems with the New England Patriots. I think they've beat them once in the last 10 years. Last time I checked, so that's something you have to keep an eye on. But I just think the Jets coming off of that win against Tennessee in that fashion, and the Patriots losing to Seattle in overtime at home. I'm going to give the Jets this one. I think that Aaron Rodgers is finding his rhythm with the team. Brees Hall is a stud. Their backup running back is a stud. Allen is a beast. I just think they have more to offer right now. Now, granted, their pass rush still isn't that great, but they have a lot to offer. They have a good corner in Sauce Gardner. They have a plethora of wide receivers and Lazard Allen, Garrett Wilson. They even have a decent tight end, Jack. It's Jack Conklin, I think, or Tyler, something like that. But it's Conklin, who he's eventually going to dump off to down the road. Mike Williams is coming back from ACL injury, so they have a lot of talent on that offense now. The line is a little bit fishy, the offensive line, I mean, but I think the Jets win this game by 10 points. Give me the Jets at home against the Patriots tomorrow night.
Not much from me. I completely agree. Aaron Rodgers has to put some wins together here if they're going to be relevant towards the end of the year in the AFC playoff picture. And they need to win, against the worst team in their division at home. So if they don't, that's just pretty embarrassing. Moving on to Sunday, Giants at the Browns. I think we can go through this pretty quick. The Browns got back on track, even though we'll talk about the Jags a little bit later. I don't think the bye weeks start yet. No, I don't think they do. We'll talk about the Jags a little bit later, but good for the Browns getting that win. Against the not an easy game, a pretty evenly matched team. So I'm going to keep the Browns rolling clearly against the Giants, who probably aren't going to win a game. I mean, I don't know.
I told you guys this week, if I pick the Giants in any week, I'm just going to retire from picks. I'm never picking the Giants. Give me the Browns. Deshaun Watson handled adversity very well last week against the Jags, especially when people were calling him out on his bullshit about the whole sexual allegations and why is he still playing football.
Oh, yeah, wasn't there another one that came out too?
Yeah, and that's even more pressure on him, and he still won. So I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he handled adversity very well. Cleveland is a -6.5 point favorite at home. They're going to steamroll the Giants. Give me Cleveland Browns at home.
Next game is pretty interesting. 1-1 Bears at the 0-2 Colts. I'd be interested to know the line on this game. It might even be a Pickem. I mean, I would not be surprised, or maybe Colts by 1 or 2. The Bears had opportunities to win against the Texans. It was kind of not the most entertaining game. It was I watched the whole game. It's pretty boring throughout, besides the end, I guess you could say. I don't think the Colts are going to be 0-3. Obviously, last week, was pretty bad. You couldn't beat the Packers backup quarterback out of nowhere. So yeah, I'm going to pick the Colts to win at home. Because also there was a little bit of rookiness from Caleb Williams. I mean, we have to just be honest. He definitely had some plays where you may scratch your head. I don't think that doesn't mean that he's not talented and won't be successful. But, I think if he wins a handful of games, I'm not expecting them to have a winning record. So I think the Colts finally get a win in the 2024 season.
All right, cool. You're taking the Colts. I am taking the Bears. I think that Keenan Allen's supposed to play this week. They missed him big time last week. And I think, honestly, if he played last week, it would have been the Bears could have potentially won that game, because that last throw by Caleb Williams, thrown it out of bounds, he had no one to throw to because it looks like Rome Odunze is an absolute bust. And they need Keenan Allen because he is their number one target. He got targeted 11 times in week 1. And the Colts, I'm going to be completely blunt with you guys. The Colts with Anthony Richardson starting at quarterback for them are going to amount to shit. He's not a good quarterback. He has a fine tool player in Jonathan Taylor who he never swings it out to. Jonathan Taylor's an absolute beast, doesn't even utilize him correctly because Anthony Richardson wants to play hero ball, and he's very inaccurate. He's a loser. And that's why I think the Chicago Bears are going to bounce back and win this game.
All right, first up, opposing picks. Always makes it interesting. This next game, it could be the game of the week. There's a couple good games this week, but this is kind of hard to pick. Texans at Vikings. Obviously, the Texans were very hyped up to start this season, rightfully so with CJ Stroud, and he's obviously been played pretty well so far this year to start. But those Vikings with Sam Darnold, after JJ McCarthy got hurt in the preseason, they just beat San Francisco again back to back. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I don't know any other team that's done that, to be honest, in recent memory. However, this game's in Minnesota. I think it would have to come down to quarterback play. I don't know if I picked any teams to win on the road yet. I haven't. So I am taking Houston to win here. Both teams 2-0. Should be a pretty fun game.
Cool. I agree with you. I think the Vikings, them beating the Niners last week, like I called, it's one of those emotional wins. You think you're better than you actually are. Although I do think Sam Darnold's playing a good game, and he didn't have Jordan Addison last week, and he's supposed to return this week. With that said, this is a house money game for the Houston Texans. They started the season 2-0. They're on the road. They don't have to win this game, which means they have zero pressure. And I think the way that CJ Stroud is playing with the amount of talent that he has with Joe Mixon coming back this week, you have Stephon Diggs, you have all these pieces, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. Looks like D'Amico Ryans is a phenomenal head coach. I have the Texans winning this game and going 3-0 to start the year.
Next game we already talked about, obviously, Eagles Saints. The next 1:00 game, I think these might be the two most surprising 2-0 teams. 2-0 Chargers at the 2-0 Steelers. Now, good for the Steelers, nitty and gritty and winning basically with no quarterback of really, note. Very impressive job by Mike Tomlin. But now they are playing a team that actually has a quarterback, at least, a solid starter. I do think Justin Herbert is very overrated. But I got to give it to the Chargers. I think the Steelers' luck of, playing an injured Kirk Cousins and, Kirk Cousins going on to a new team. And then last week, freaking Denver is just a mess, just a fucking mess. And it's really a shame. So I think their luck is going to run out of not having a consistent offense. I'm going to take the LA Chargers to win and to be 3-0 and a very quiet 3-0, especially with Jim Harbaugh coming on board back to the NFL. Maybe this can be a game for them where, they can showcase something and, kind of make a name for themselves and people will start talking about the Chargers.
This is a close one for me, but I'm actually going to run with the Steelers. The reason being is because J.K. Dobbins played for the Baltimore Ravens, and the Steelers know how to defend them well. J.K. Dobbins is coming off an Achilles injury. He's looking great to start the year for the Chargers. Like I said before, look for Quentin Johnson on the waiver wire for the Chargers because they don't have many wide receivers to throw to. Their next big wide receiver is Joshua Palmer. He's like a 3 at best. So I think this is one of those games where it's going to be sloppy again, and it's going to cause unnecessary controversy because how do you go to Russell Wilson when you're 3-0 to start the year? So I'm going to go Steelers just based off those facts, and I think it's going to be a really sloppy game.
Next game, this should be a quick one. Denver Broncos at the 2-0 Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have definitely surprised me. I know that you were pretty high on them, and especially high on Baker Mayfield. And like I said, I just think the Broncos are just a travesty right now. And I think the firing head coaching watch is definitely starting for Sean Payton. I would be if I was a fan and the owner, because you should have probably beaten the Steelers. Like you needed to win a game. Not saying they're better than the Steelers, but that's a game that you could win. Against Justin Fields. So I don't see them beating the Bucs at 1:00 in Tampa. So Tampa 3-0, according to me, before we play them the following week.
Yeah, not much to say here. I'm going to take the Buccaneers as well. So 3-0 going into the Eagles game. That'll be a fun one. So
next, sorry, go ahead.
We both got Buccaneers.
Last 1 o'clock game, a doozy. Packers at Titans. Unfortunately, the Packers are kind of irrelevant right now without Jordan Love, and not, they're just not being talked about. Of course, if Jordan Love was there, they would definitely be more of a conversation piece. And, the Titans, I mean, they played the Jets tough for what that's worth. But I mean, I'm actually very not impressed with Will Levis like I was at points last year. I think he's made a lot of mistakes. And again, the Titans played the Bears and the Jets, and he couldn't win either game. So that's not really a good sign. So, but that being said, I think actually just because the Titans are at home. And, the Packers clearly are not the same team without Jordan Love. You could say the Titans have a more chance to score points. So maybe I actually am going to I'm going to take the Titans to win.
You're going to take the Titans to win. So this is basically going off of a gambling line because the Titans are a -2 at home against the Packers. And they're actually saying that Jordan Love might play this week. So,
really?
Yeah, so if Jordan Love plays, I see the Packers winning this one, but it could also be a down game for the Packers just because they beat the Colts last week. I just think maybe this is a weird one. I hate this game. I really do. I'm just going to flip a coin. Boom. There you go. Heads down. Titans. Give me the Titans.
Yeah, I was trying to see Jordan Love returns to practice, hopeful to play. Yeah. I don't think he plays. Why are they trying to rush him back? I could see if they lost last week, but they won. I don't know. I'm going to stay with the Titans too. On to the 4 o'clock games. Panthers at Raiders. Super boring game. Andy Dalton's first start. Raiders obviously coming off a huge upset win against Baltimore. Does this feel like a little bit of a trap game for me? Right? Am I really
choose wisely?
Am I really going to pick the Panthers to win? But it kind of that's what's like speaking to me right now. And who else are the Panthers going to be? It seems like a good spot for them with Andy Dalton trying to give them some type of anything. Oh, I think I'm going to take the Panthers. I'm just feeling something. Do you feel the same way?
Nope, I'm going with the Raiders. I think that the Raiders, obviously it could be a potential for a trap game, like Scott said. But at the end of the day, listen, Brock Bowers is an absolute stud. They're going to use him all day. They have a Devontae Adams on certain plays wide open now because Brock Bowers is always open. I just think that the Raiders are a team that can shock a lot of people this year. And I don't think the Raiders are going to be the first team to lose to Carolina. Now, granted, they did make a quarterback change, but it's to Andy Dalton. All right. Andy Dalton, he was in my opinion, he's a journeyman. I don't care how many years he started at Cincinnati. He didn't amount to shit there. They never won a playoff game with him as the quarterback. The Raiders are going to win this game, and if they don't, whatever. The NFL's fishy. Sue me. The Panthers just fucking suck. They're an awful garbage fucking team. Their starting running back is Miles Sanders, garbage fucking Eagle. I'm going with the Raiders.
Next game's this is another tough game to pick for me. 1-1 Dolphins at the 2-0 Seahawks. Obviously, no Tua for 4 weeks for the Dolphins. Seahawks have definitely been a bit of a surprise. Now, they did barely beat New England. New England played very well, which I did pick New England to win. I freaking went 6-9 last week. Am I going to pick against the Seahawks again? I am not, because now, even though we've seen the Dolphins with, who is it? Is it Skylar Moore? Is that his name? Skylar Thompson. We actually saw him, I believe it was a few years ago. Didn't he play in that playoff game, or he almost beat Buffalo? I think that was relevant.
Yeah, no, he did. They were on the road for the wild card game, and they almost went in there and beat him.
But I just think that how could that team not be deflated with the Tua situation? And they just honestly haven't been playing that well this year. And again, they have the Tyreek controversy kind of, they've been facing a lot of adversity here this first 2 weeks, probably the worst case scenario. Their two best players are dealing with shit. So I'm gonna have to go Seahawks. It's in Seattle. This has field goal game written all over it, and somehow I think the Seahawks start 3-0.
So this is going to be one of my few upsets of the season. I have actually the Dolphins winning this game, and I'll explain why. The Dolphins have better position players than the Seattle Seahawks do. Now, granted, Seattle is a tough place to play. I completely understand that. But again, like Seattle, they beat the Patriots. The Patriots aren't a good team, and that game went to overtime. They beat the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are awful. The Miami Dolphins have very skilled position players in Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They have five different running backs. They have 5 different running backs. Mike McDaniels is a better coach, in my opinion, than whatever the hell they have at Seattle. So give me the upset. Give me the Dolphins.
Interesting. Next game, this actually might be a little bit of an underrated, pretty good game because of how the Cardinals played last week. It's the 1-1 Lions at the 1-1 Cardinals. The Cardinals absolutely obliterated Sean McVay, Cooper Kupp, and Matthew Stafford last week, the Rams. And the Lions kind of were pretty disappointing. We know that game came down to the end with the Bucs, and obviously Dan Campbell took the heat and the responsibility for why they lost. I just think that the Lions need to get back on track here, and that could have. People are saying they're praising Kyle Murray like he's had issues. He's not been that good of a quarterback to me. And yes, they had an amazing day, and I'm a huge fan of Marvin Harrison Jr. Those 2 touchdowns out of nowhere to really kickstart that blowout. But the Lions are a more experienced team. They have more expectations. They're better than the Cardinals. But this has the potential to be a good game. I'm taking Detroit.
Yeah, last week, Kyler Murray, the way he looked like that is the reason being why he looked like that is because Marvin Harrison week 1 didn't do anything, and Marvin Harrison week 2 flourished. So it opened up a lot of pieces down the field. Cooper Kupp getting hurt didn't help. The Rams were just out of funk at that. It was a divisional game. It happens. Now, I do like the fact that Jonathan Gannon's doing well there. That's a good sight to see. But at the end of the day, the Lions are just a better team. They're going to bounce back from last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown is healthy. I think they're just a better team, and they're going to win.
Yeah, and what about Aiden Hutchinson? He looks like the real deal.
He's a beast. He's like Nick Bosa.
Yeah, he looks like the real deal. Some of the plays he made last week were very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
We're wrapping up the 425 games almost. This is a terrible spot for the Dallas Cowboys. This is America's game of the week on Fox.
One isn't it?
0-2 Ravens at the 1-1 Cowboys. 2 teams let's just call it. The Ravens need to win. It's a must win for the Ravens. They cannot start 0-3 in that tough division. Even though, we know the Bengals lost and the Browns aren't that good. Steelers 2-0, but we know they're not going to win the division. But the Ravens can't start 0-3, and we know that ultimately I think they're a more talented and better team than the Cowboys. And yeah, I'm taking the Ravens to win. They have to. If they don't win this game, that's probably that's a pretty big shock for them to start 0-3.
I have the Cowboys in this game. I think the Cowboys win this one just because the Ravens, just because you have to win the game doesn't mean you're going to. The Cowboys have to win this game too, because if they go 1-2 and we go 2-1, it's going to be a slippery slope for them down the road. So, in my opinion, I know it's a non-conference game for them, but I don't know. I just don't think the Cowboys could play any worse than they did last week, and they actually played decently week 1 against an AFC North opponent. So, I have them winning this game at home for sure, and yeah, give me the Cowboys, unfortunately.
The only thing I could see, to your point, is them losing back-to-back home games. I know they had that long winning streak at home. Yeah. I just think, I would take the Ravens to beat the Cowboys any day. So with the Ravens' backs against the wall, I think it'll be a close game, but I'm going to take the Ravens. Yep. Last 425, 49ers at the Rams. Should be a pretty another good game because both of these teams are frustrated for sure. Rams, but also the 49ers, losing to Sam Darnold last week. Is Christian McCaffrey not, being on IR? Is he affecting this team? Is that official?
No, because their running back that replaced him's not missing a beat.
True. I mean, that's kind of crazy to say that offensive player of the year is not having an impact on the team. Like he's not playing right now. But oh my God, and the Rams are also 0-2. So one of these teams, I mean, you would think it's going to be 0-3 between
No,
the
the
Ravens.
Niners won week 1.
No, I was talking about the Ravens just in my
Oh,
mind for
okay.
my picks. But yeah, I'm gonna take the 49ers here to win.
Yeah, I'm taking the Niners too. Just more talented. Cooper Kupp's out. Puka Nakua's out. More talented.
Crazy. Those two receivers out at the same time. That's a shame for them. Sunday night football. Our old friend, the Falcons, host the Kansas City Chiefs. I really expect this to be a blowout with the Chiefs winning. I think they're going to showcase their talent. I think they've been a little underwhelming to start the season, and they're 2-0, so that's a good thing for them to be underwhelming and still win both their games. But come on, I mean, we just saw the Falcons. We both think that they're not anything special, and yeah, I don't even see this game really being even close. I actually saw one person pick the Falcons to win. I don't see that happening. Give me the Chiefs.
I want to be that one person that picks the Falcons, honestly, just because the gambling line doesn't really make any sense to me. It's plus 3.5 at home for the Falcons.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the Falcons are plus 3.5 at home.
Wow.
I think this could be a spot where the Falcons can win 2 in a row, just because the Chiefs, to start the season, they had Isaiah Likely step out of bounds, and then last week they had a miracle field goal by Harrison Butker to win the game. Give me the Falcons. I'm going to go opposite of you. Give me the Falcons.
Oh my, whoa.
Yep.
Whoa, that's crazy. That might be your most going out on a limb so far. Good for you. Wow. That's nuts.
Could be
I already wrote down Casey for you. I got to change it. All right. Final. So we have a double header on Monday night. Kind of random, rare. Not the best games, just to be honest. Jags at Bills and Commanders at Bengals. Jags at Bills. Again, Jaguars are 0-2, but at Buffalo, I don't. Unless the Bills play down to the Jags, kind of like how the Bills almost lost to the Cardinals week 1. I'm not picking against Buffalo. I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, give me the Bills too.
And then the final game, which starts at 8:15. The other one's at 7:30. Commanders at Bengals. If the Bengals need a get right game and to actually showcase a little bit of goodness, if Joe Burrow wants to wake up. I mean, they played the Chiefs very well last week. I shouldn't say that, but they need to win. I don't see them going 0-3. Obviously, the Commanders are a D team at this point. If you don't know if you want to say F, I'm taking Cincinnati.
Who did the Bengals play week 1? I forget.
They lost to the Patriots.
Oh, the Patriots. Okay. This is a tougher one than you think it is, because the Bengals are
Cincinnati.
the Bengals are a 7.5-point favorite at home, but they lost to the Patriots. It's like
they almost beat the Chiefs.
No, and I understand that, but that they never. But that's the thing. In a normal year where the Bengals are good, they would have won that game, because don't they usually beat the Chiefs?
Yeah, but I mean, it was a close game. I mean, also you're coming off that terrible loss to the Patriots, so it's not like you're going in with any confidence. I don't know.
Yeah, I might be wrong about this one, but give me the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm taking Cincy too. Those are our picks. Lock of the week. Final thing here. My lock of the week. I feel like I did a really easy one last week. Unfortunately, you're 0-2 in your lock of the week. So I'm 1-1. But give me my lock of the week. I want to spice it up. I want to go out on a little bit of a limb. My lock of the week is Baltimore over Dallas.
All right. My lock of the week is the Browns against the Giants.
Yeah, you need to catch up there. Right? Awesome. So those are our week 3 picks, guys. I didn't get a chance to add up our overall records. I'll definitely have them for you next week. I will, we'll just say that Kyle is in the lead based on his really impressive 10-4 performance last week. Of course, we're going to keep this going all year long. So we will see. And it's really going to get fun by the end of this season because I've never officially tracked every single game for an entire NFL season. So that'll definitely be cool to see. And, how many we get right.
Yeah.
Anything to wrap up now? Obviously, Eagles Saints, final thoughts, final recap. I'm slowly getting over the Atlanta loss, but I don't think I'm really ever going to be over it until we win again. And again, I'm just not as excited for this Eagles team right now. I don't know.
I mean, for me personally, after we lost that Super Bowl, it hasn't really been exciting for me. I've always wanted to get back to that spot in the way that we lost. So, yeah, that's been kind of awful for me personally. So, yeah, these seasons to me seem a lot longer. Like this one's going by fast, which is weird. But these seasons seem much longer to me because I just want to get back to the Super Bowl. I don't care about anything else. And what I look at is this team good enough talent wise if they put it together to win the Super Bowl? And I'm going to go yes. I think they are. And it's a long season. All we have to do is get into the playoffs, win football games, and we're back. And I think they're good enough to do it. And you have to remember the trade deadline is at the beginning of November. So who says we're not going to add on,
Yeah, they pushed it back this year. I think this might be a cool thing to end with, this controversial take by Samuel Mays. He made a couple 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
If the Eagles can't count on Jalen Hurts to throw a 20-yard pass without A.J. Brown, I think the Birds need to draft a new quarterback soon because they have too many weapons on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, controversial take. It's like you 50% agree, 50% don't. I don't think that they're going to be drafting one. But my whole point of this show, start to end, I'm going to end it like I started. That is the main problem to me, the Hurts turnovers, and that's my biggest concern. So yeah, if this continues, I mean, goddamn, fucking fan base, call it for what it is. You're losing because of the quarterback.
Yeah, they're never going to. At the end of the day, and it's funny because Nick Foles won us the Super Bowl, and he was always at the top of the criticism. So I mean, it's just bullshit. At the end of the day, though, I think this is the most not true take of all time. Football season cures depression. I think it's like one of the worst fakes of all time. Football season's awful, bro. Like it really is. I mean, I love this team and I hate this team at the same time. They make me really happy and they want to make me want to punch my fist through a dry wall. So, I mean, yeah, it definitely doesn't cure depression because I happen to drink more than I usually do during football season and I got to stop. So
alcohol is a depressant, right?
Yeah, it really is. And it just makes you feel like shit, So it's 50-50. I mean, you're either happy or you're sad. And, one team wins the Super Bowl. Hopefully we're back to it. So
and we will have happy moments again this season for sure. This week was just not one of them.
No, it wasn't. It was one of those shocking ones. It's not like I was sad about it. It was just because I still had a good time at the game. Maybe if I was watching at home, I would have been a little more upset. But I don't know. I still had a good time.
I wasn't sad. I was pissed off and disgusted, as everyone knows.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do at least one more game this year. I think we're going to watch this game somewhere on Sunday. But if not, obviously it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. But Yep, I have the Eagles winning this Sunday, and that's pretty much all I have to say.
Absolutely, go Birds! I hope I'm wrong, but let's see some corrections, some things fixed, and let's see a quarterback making smart decisions with the football.
All right, and I'm gonna answer this one before we get out of here. Are you gonna do any reaction streams on Fly Like an Eagle? We did one on Sunday. If you want to go watch it, it wasn't a stream, it was a reaction video. The reason why I didn't go live with it is because I didn't trust the signal in the stadium at the time. So that was the first reaction video. It did well over 1,000 views, which is great for a rebrand. And Scotty killed it. So if you want to go watch that, go watch it again. And yeah, we'll definitely
we'll be live.
definitely do
We'll
some
be live we'll be live after the Saints game.
for sure. Hopefully I have some good wings that day, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Fly goes fly. We got to bounce back this week, and fuck the Saints.